guys, Rogue from WolfPack Airsoft. Today we're going to be going over my loadout. Alright, at the top, I'm wearing a Mil-Spec Mucky Cool Guy Deluxe mesh hat. This is a flex fit hat. There is no hole in the back. See, none. Also for goggles, I'm using Revision Desert Locust. A lot of people said it was overkill. I don't care. Good enough. For lower face pro, I'm using a Matrix Mesh Mask V1 in Desert Skull. I like the Desert Skull pattern because it's intimidating at close range. Also, the one thing with V1s, it doesn't cover your ears with any sort of mesh. It's just the straps if you want to get your ears covered. Alright, for clothing, I'm wearing a Massif ACS. This I just got from a military surplus store and for $55. Pretty good for something that normally costs $150. For the pants, I'm wearing Emerson combat pants in Multicam. These have built-in knee pads. Go built-in. It's very hard to go back unless you absolutely have to. Also down on my feet, I'm wearing a pair of hiking boots. For the plate carrier, I'm wearing a Condor Gunner plate carrier. This thing is very comfortable. It's very small, but it can take a 10 by 13 plate. That's a large plate. On the shoulder, I've got my dead rag. On the shoulder, I've got my Elite Force dead rag. In the kangaroo pouch, I've got a Condor magazine insert. This thing will allow your kangaroo pouch to hold 3 magazines with bungee retention. But mags in these two pouches. This one can be a little hard to get out, but not impossible. On the side of it, I've got a Condor EMT pouch. Now I got nothing in there. Usually I'll put some CO2, my Allen wrench, because I run for a pistol in Elite Force 1911. CO2 blowback, very nice. Usually about at room temperature I can get about 3 magazines off. In cold weather I can get closer to 4.5. Now to holster that, I've got my Condor Tornado holster, which is very easy to open, but very hard to close. But it can hold anything from a Walther PPK, which is very small. If you ever see James Bond, that's his gun, all the way up to a Desert Eagle. The Deagle is huge. This thing will hold it. Also, but the magazine pouch, you may be able to fit the Deagle mag's width in there, but I don't, in length. But you may not be able to fit something like a Glock or a SIG, because it's simply a fat magazine. Now, on my hands, I'm wearing Mechanics Fast Fit gloves. These things are very easy to get on and off, and they don't have the Velcro that the originals or the Impacts have. For rifles, I've got a G&G F2000 fully licensed by Cybergun. This thing is very nice. It weighs about 8 pounds, but that's it. But it's evenly weighted. So once you get used to it being shouldered, if you put more of the weight in your shoulder, you will just be holding 3-4 pounds out on your hands. And it's very easy, very manageable on your hands. It's even after a long time of playing. I know that because I've used it at the Battlegrounds event. We've been putting footage out about. One thing about the F2000, it's a bullpup design, which means on the real steel, instead of all the actions in the magazines being in front of the trigger, they're behind it. And before I got this, I did a lot of research on forums, and a lot of things that people complained about with it were how fat it is. It's a fat gun. But that's kind of nice, because up here, grip is about 2.5 inches wide at the widest. But when you actually hold it, it's more like 1.5. So you're going to be, so that, remember that 4 pounds? That's all on that, and that's more easy to hold because of how wide it is. Also, the magazine release is right there. It does not allow you to do the beer can grip when you put your magazines in. Beer can? No. You have to hold it from the bottom and insert. On this, I have an ebike.com T1 red green dot sight. This thing is very nice, very easy to use, except for when you're trying to dial it in, because these, they're fake. You gotta have a very tiny screw driver to actually adjust it. It does feature 5 levels of brightness for each color dot. On the 5th level of brightness, it can still be a little hard to see. It does kind of fade away in bright sunlight, but you can still see it pretty easily. And if you're like me, you're new to red dots, it's very easy to lose it. Anyway, that's my loadout. How do you do?